Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the paper talk. Come on, you know what the dance is now. I'm in the studio, which means it's live, which means you lot, yes, you lot, have got to get involved in the chat and the comments and let me know what you think about all the latest Manchester United news. We're going to be talking about Erik Ten Hag's new coaching dream team. We'll also be talking about a bloke called Frenkie De Jong. You may have heard of him. He's practically in every story featuring Manchester United in the last 2 days. And it looks like there could be a bit of fire to that smoke linking him with the club. So we'll get into all that. Let's hear from you guys as well. And let us know if you've got any stories. Have you seen Frenkie De Jong around your local Asda? If you have, let me know. Unless you live in Barcelona, of course, which is just pointless. Nicholas Ayuriupta says, awesome. Yep, hi. Santa Not says, not young to go. And someone says, that was terrible, Santa. Yes, it was not. Come on, you can do better. We'll get straight into the first story anyway. This is from Fabrizio Romano. Now, he says, this is a tweet he's put out, Manchester United are preparing contracts for both Mitchell van der Gaag and Steve McLaren as they join Erik Ten Hag, becoming part of the new coaching staff in the next weeks. Van der Gaag told Ajax 3 weeks ago of his intention to sign for Man United. Now, me and Joe were talking about this last night on the Paddock Live. It's obviously essential that you get the right coaching staff in when you're a new Manchester United manager. We've seen how that has hindered managers in the past. Who remembers David Moyes when he had Jimmy Lumsden and Steve Round? Disastrous. The good thing about what Erik Ten Hag does there is a bit of a mixture. He's obviously got Mitchell van der Gaag, who he knows very well, someone he's worked with before. Steve McLaren, who he also knows very well and has worked with before, but has also been at Manchester United and had a very successful stint as assistant manager to Sir Alex Ferguson during his time at Manchester United. I think it was around 1999 to 2001. And I think something happened in 99 that was quite good. I can't remember. Anyway, it seems to make sense, that move, where you're getting in people you know, a lot of experience, people who've got experience of being at Manchester United as well. That should set Erik Ten Hag up for a sort of easy transition, if you can say that. Rebecca J. O'Sullivan in the chat says, morning, guys. Morning, Rebecca. Akshay S says, Jay, with the number of players that are supposed to be coming in this summer, is De Jong worth the price, 80 to 100 million? We'll get into De Jong in a minute, but yeah, it does look like it's going to be... There was some quotes weren't about 60 to 70 million. Maybe there's a deal there. It might not be quite as much as 80 to 100 million. I think if it is anywhere near 100 million, it ain't happening. I don't see Manchester United spending £100 million on anyone. I think that's why the Declan Rice rumours have cooled, because I think West Ham was sort of digging the reels in. At one point, they was, suggesting silly money around 150 million quid, which is just never going to happen. But then people saying, okay, maybe a deal can be done for around 100 million, which is a similar price to what Man City paid for Jack Grealish. United are not going to pay that. We're not going to pay that for one player. I just don't think that's going to happen. And whilst Declan Rice is a good player and he'd fit in at Manchester United, I don't think you're paying 100 million for a midfielder. I don't. Especially not a midfielder who, despite the fact, as I've said earlier, is a good player. Has he ever played in the Champions League? I don't think he has he? I mean, he's done well for England. He's done well in the Europa. He's done well in the Premier League. But I don't know. It's a big gamble that I don't think it's a gamble that Manchester United can afford to take. So I don't see Declan Rice coming. But there could be something happening with Frenkie De Jong. There's a story doing the rounds, and I think this has come from Mundo Deportivo. And this says that De Jong, Ten Hag's desire to count again on Frenkie De Jong coincides with the will of the player, who, as Deportivo has learned, puts his future before being in a team that features in the Champions League and competes for the league title. He wants to succeed at Barca, but would change his mind if he was pushed out. Now, the thing with De Jong, it's a bit of a strange one, because it's not like Xavi doesn't like him or that he's been a disaster at Barcelona. That's not the case at all. Barcelona have had a bit of a up and down time of it, haven't they, of late? It's not been a sort of golden period in Barcelona's history by any stretch of the imagination. But Frenkie De Jong, he's played quite a lot of games. I think he's played about 46 games this season, so he has been pretty much a mainstay of the team. His performances as well have been good, and I think he's been praised. But there's the sort of feeling that if Barcelona, who have, if you can call it money worries, they haven't got money worries like, we might have money worries where it's like, hang on a minute, I'm a bit skinned. I think they've got money worries in the sense that they haven't got hundreds of millions of pounds like they normally have to spend on whoever they want. So they might have to let a couple of players go to bring in other players. And that's the sort of common thinking around De Jong, is that because Barcelona have other players that they want to bring in, that they're going to look to sort of maybe move on one or two who have done okay, actually, and aren't really, fringe players, are actually first-team players, but they go out and a better player, if you will, or a more preferred player, I think would be the better terms of way to put it, comes in. And that's where this has come, these stories have come about Frenkie De Jong. And it looks like he's kind of resigned to the idea that he's going to get moved on. Now, he's saying the right things, because when you're at a club, you don't want to say, especially at a club like Barcelona, and go, well, I want to leave, I've had enough, or whatever. You want to say, I want to stay and I want to try and be a success here and fight for my place and all that other stuff. But you don't want to sort of close the door on a potential move. And it seems to be that's what he's doing. He's saying, you know what, listen, I'm happy to stay here, but if I have to move on, I will move on. And the fact that he's not too sort of hung up on Champions League football is a bonus for Manchester United, because we haven't got Champions League football next season. Now, people have said, oh, you can't get a player like De Jong, or you can't get a top-class player or an elite player if you haven't got Champions League football. That's nonsense, right? It's always been nonsense. Because if you look at it, you can go back, and it's not just United. Go back to 2016. We didn't have Champions League football. We had Europa League football. We brought in Zlatan Ibrahimovic, one of the best strikers in the world. And he was 35. So it wasn't like he had loads of years left. He didn't know he was going to play till he was 40-odd. He came to Manchester United knowing he wasn't going to play in the Champions League. Now, this is a player who's an elite striker, coming what looked like towards the end of his career, who never won the Champions League, and yet was happy to come to a club that wasn't in the Champions League. You had Paul Pogba, a player who'd played in the Champions League final for Juve, who was willing to come to Manchester United, who had no Champions League football. And if you go back even further, because you can look at that and you can go, okay, that's Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. For me, there's only sort of 3 or 4 clubs that you can say are on a par or perhaps bigger than Manchester United. So if you come to Manchester United, you're joining one of the biggest clubs in the world. Now, if you go back further to 2009, Yaya Toure leaves Barcelona. He leaves one of the biggest clubs in the world. He leaves a club that not only has played Champions League football, has won the Champions League, unfortunately against Manchester United, with him in the final. And he goes to City, a club he probably never even heard of a few years before. Again, they didn't have Champions League football, but they can get him because they give him the right financial incentives. A lot of players will move to clubs either because of the money's right, well, the money always has to be right, and also because they can stomach not always being in the Champions League. And De Jong might be like that. He might look at it and go, okay, Manchester United, it is a massive club. You're going from one of the biggest clubs in the world in Barcelona to another one of the biggest clubs, and you're being part of something. You're not only being part of something that's like, a sort of a rebuilding process at Manchester United, you're also joining a manager Let's not forget, Frenkie De Jong played under Eric Ten Hag at Ajax. I think he had, two and a bit seasons under him. So he knows the manager. Obviously, they worked well together. They had success there. They won titles there, and he got his move to Barcelona. So that could be a bit of a carrot for him, going back to work with a manager that at one of the biggest clubs in the world as part of this rebuilding process. So whilst you might look at it and go, it's going to be difficult to get a player of the calibre of Frenkie De Jong when you haven't got Champions League football, it's not the end of that. Doesn't mean that it's off the table, because like we saw with Zlatan, like we saw with Paul Pogba, like we've seen with other clubs as well, you can get players, you can get top players if you've got the right sort of money to offer them, which United have. United and sort of transfer or wages isn't an issue for players. You are going to always get good wages at Manchester United. The problem is we probably give too many, dare I say, average players massive wages. That's the issue. We've overpaid in wages. So it's not a case of, well, we won't give you good wages. You get more money at Manchester United than you probably get if you sign for the Scousers or you sign for most other Premier League clubs. Our wage sort of packages and our wage bill is huge. That's a bit of an issue, really, that needs addressing, and that's something that, from sort of some of the rumours we're getting is going to be looked at, but you're still going to get money. You come into a big club. I mean, Big Hand 69 says, only Real are comparable to United in size and scale globally. That's another good point. Manchester United's global fan base is huge. Yeah, it is. Now, it's easy to sort of dismiss United and put us down and say that, oh, well, United aren't what we used to be, and United aren't winning trophies anymore, and United are no longer a force, and I get all that. I've criticised our lack of trophies and where we've fallen a little bit in stature, but we're still one of the biggest clubs in the world. We are, because Liverpool, pains me to say, are one of the biggest clubs in the world. They didn't win a title for 30 years. They still had a massive global fan base. We saw that, and it's the same with Manchester United. Now, I want us to win trophies, and I think we need to win trophies. Frenkie De Jong is someone that can help us do that. We have got a scout report on Frenkie De Jong as well. I think there's a pinned comment, so you can go and check that out. There's a video there where we go over Frenkie De Jong because, you know, a lot of you know a lot about him. Some of you might not know much. So there's a little bit of a report what he would bring to this Manchester United team, because he's the type of player that we're crying out for, and that'll go into some details on why we're crying out for him. Dylan Cillier says, joining in from New York, 5:30 a.m. I want Donny. Now, I presume is that Donny van der Beek he's talking about? Or is that some sort of nickname for Frenkie De Jong? Aditya Kula says, thanks, Jay, for helping me out when I was lost at my first visit to Old Trafford 3 years ago. I love your writing too, by the way. It's exquisite. I love the word exquisite. Thank you. And I'm glad I was able to help you out. I probably don't remember that, but I do like to do the odd, you know, bit of tour guiding, free of charge, of course. Santa Notch says, there's a chance Ten Hag will bring back Donny and try him with De Jong as he did at Ajax. Yes, because this is like getting the band back together. Me and Joe were saying last night, you've got Donny van der Beek, you've got Erik Ten Hag, you've got Mitchell van der Gaag, you've got... Steve McLaren wasn't Ajax. But you've got possibly Frenkie De Jong. There was even talk, wasn't there, of De Ligt coming as well. I don't know about that one. But he was a big part of that successful Ajax team, because these are all players that obviously Erik Ten Hag has worked with. He's worked well with them. They've had success. They played great football, didn't they, that Ajax side? If we can replicate anything like that at Manchester United, that'd be great. And I think there's another side to this as well, because it's not just about winning matches and success. The football at Old Trafford this season, or, well, by United this season, has been pretty turgid. It has. And I don't take any pleasure in saying that. It's not been entertaining, free-flowing football, has it? Most of our wins have come from Cristiano Ronaldo deciding he's going to score a hat-trick or deciding to do something. There's not been many games where you go, United have blown a team away and just played great football. Now, even if the results aren't fantastic, even if we are sort of kicking around fourth, struggling to get back into that top four, which I think might be the first season under Erik Ten Hag, if the football's good, you can stomach that. If you're watching entertaining football, then you can put up with not all the results being great. And Erik Ten Hag has this reputation, and these are the types of players in Frenkie De Jong and Donny van der Beek, if he gives him another chance, or whoever, that he's got that reputation of doing, and that he can hopefully do at Manchester United, because it does feel like we've just been watching just mediocrity for far too long, not just in terms of results, but in terms of the performances and the football style as well. Noto says, morning Jay, I think we're so deficient in the CDM position that we need to buy 2 DMs. We would be 1 injury away from being back in the mire. That is a great point, and I agree. I think we do need 2 players who can come into that position, because you can't pin all your hopes on one player. Malps has put, sorry, I wouldn't call it football, Jay, this season with United. Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's been something else, hasn't it? Ed C says, can't bear seeing us spending so big on Frenkie De Jong. Barca will be looking to extort us after paying 75 million and 10 million in add-ons. Now, there is a little sort of way around this, isn't there? Maybe, if it is a big fee. Like what we did with Jadon Sancho. We paid 73 million quid for him, was it? 73? Is that right? 70, around that. Or 74. But it was in installments. Now, obviously, you still got to pay it. It's like when you get a, fridge freezer on finance or whatever. You've still got to pay it eventually. Well, usually. But if you're spreading out those payments, that hopefully can enable you to buy other players as well. So you're not just going, right, that's all my transfer budget that's gone now on this one player, or half my transfer budget. If you can say, okay, we're going to pay 25 million quid now and another 25 million in another season and so on and so forth, you can go, okay, we're spreading this out. That's going to allow us to buy maybe 4 or 5 players this summer rather than 2 or 3. And that could be a massive difference. Abhishek says, Jay, shout out, please. No chance, not doing it. Sorry, bro. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there, but the news there is there looks like there could be some developments on the Frenkie De Jong story. We will keep you posted, as always. We'll give you updates. Anything happens, breaking news, we'll go live. We'll be back at 3 o'clock with an Instagram live as well. I think that might be the Housewives' favourite, Alex Bagley, is going to be doing that, probably. And we'll be back at 4 o'clock with the brew. Make sure you're checking out that scout report I mentioned as well there, where we get into all the nuts and bolts about Frenkie De Jong and what he's doing. Stephen Howson's knocking about as well. He's going to be going live as well. If you want to go and check out his channel, he'll be doing a bit of news. So that's all from me. Don't forget as well to hit subscribe if you're not doing. Subscribe to our channel. Let's get to 700,000 subscribers. We can do it with your help. I've been Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk from the studio. Thanks for watching.